Have you ever felt truly trapped? Caught in a game where your future isn't yours to control, but a pawn in a high-stakes chess match played by giants? Today, we're diving deep into the heart of the NBA's most brutal offseason drama, a standoff that's less about basketball and more about a ruthless test of wills between two iconic franchises. The air in the league isn't just thick with summer heat. It's buzzing with an almost unbearable tension as the Chicago Bulls and the Golden State Warriors engage in a psychological war that could define their futures for years to come. This isn't your typical off-season lull, where minor roster tweaks grab a fleeting headline. No, Fabiano, what we're witnessing is a masterclass in strategic warfare, a chess match where every single move carries enormous consequences, and the reputations of shrewd executives hang precariously in the balance. At the very heart of this captivating drama are two incredibly talented young players, Josh Giddey and Jonathan Kuminga. They are the pawns, the knights, and potentially the queens in a strategic battle neither side wants to be the first to concede. This story, my friends, goes far deeper than simple contract negotiations or trade rumors. It's about power, about leverage, and about the unwavering conviction of organizations willing to hold firm on their principles, even when millions of dollars and championship aspirations are hanging by a thread. The NBA's restricted free agency system, originally designed to give teams an advantage in retaining their prized draft picks, has instead created a peculiar form of purgatory for some of the league's most promising young talent. Josh Giddey, despite his undeniable skills and tantalizing potential, has found himself caught squarely in this predicament. NBA insider Jake Fisher didn't mince words, brutally describing Giddey's external market interest as yielding a big fat nothing burger. Can you imagine being a young, dynamic playmaker, a triple-double threat with unique court vision, only to find the entire league seemingly shrugging its shoulders at your availability? It's a gut punch, a stark reminder of the cold, hard business side of professional sports. This market stagnation isn't some accidental oversight. It's a calculated, deliberate strategy by teams across the league. Front offices have become increasingly conservative with their spending, especially when it comes to young players who haven't yet proven they can be consistent two-way contributors on winning teams. The confluence of luxury tax concerns, uncertain salary cap projections for future seasons, and the inherent risk of paying for potential rather than guaranteed production has created an environment where even players as talented as Giddey struggle to generate competitive offers. The psychological toll on a player caught in this financial limbo cannot be overstated. When the market doesn't respond to your availability, it forces uncomfortable questions about your true value, your standing in the league, and whether your current organization's assessment accurately reflects your worth. For Giddey, the silence from other teams has been deafening, effectively handing the Chicago Bulls enormous leverage in negotiations while simultaneously planting seeds of doubt about his true market value. It's a cruel twist of fate, where a system meant to protect teams ends up stifling player mobility and creating an emotional roller coaster for the athletes themselves. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, Jonathan Kuminga faces a strikingly similar predicament with the Golden State Warriors. Despite showing flashes of brilliance, possessing the kind of explosive athleticism that makes scouts drool, and exhibiting clear potential, he too has found himself in a negotiating stalemate. The Warriors, a franchise flush with championship experience but undeniably aging at key positions, seem reluctant to commit significant money to a player who hasn't yet proven he can consistently contribute to winning basketball on a nightly basis. Golden State's reported interest in Josh Giddey, therefore, represents far more than simple roster improvement. It's a calculated attempt to extend their championship window. Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green have given the franchise everything, etching their names into the annals of NBA history. But Father Time, as we all know, remains undefeated, and the Warriors' front office understands that their window of opportunity is narrowing with each passing season. Giddey's unique skill set could provide exactly what Golden State needs moving forward. His ability to create for others, rebound from a guard position, and facilitate offense in ways that don't require elite scoring makes him an intriguing fit alongside their established stars. Rather than attempting to replace what Curry brings to the table, Giddey could complement it, handling different aspects of playmaking duties and allowing the Warriors to operate with more versatility and less burden on their aging core in offensive sets. The strategic brilliance of targeting Giddey lies in his youth and potential for growth within their proven system. While other teams might view him as a project or question his fit, the Warriors have a well-documented track record of developing players and maximizing their strengths within their championship culture. Giddey could benefit enormously from playing alongside seasoned veterans who understand how to win at the highest level, accelerating his development in a way few other franchises could offer. However, Golden State's pursuit of Giddey also subtly reflects their internal uncertainty about Kuminga's development timeline. If they truly believed Kuminga was ready to take the next step and contribute significantly to championship aspirations right now, their interest in acquiring another young player with similar upside wouldn't make strategic sense. Their willingness to explore a swap suggests internal questions about whether Kuminga can develop quickly enough to help their current core compete for more titles before their dynasty truly fades. The Chicago Bulls' refusal to engage in a sign-and-trade discussion for Giddey reveals everything about their organizational mindset and strategic priorities. Having already traded beloved veteran Alex Caruso to acquire Giddey, Chicago cannot afford the optics or the reality of facilitating his departure without receiving substantial, undeniable value in return. This hardline approach demonstrates organizational learning from previous mistakes, where they often appeared to lack conviction in their roster construction decisions and were perceived as easily pushed around. The Bulls have faced their fair share of criticism for inconsistent messaging and a wavering strategic direction during their prolonged rebuild, but their firm stance on Giddey shows they're willing to take a position and stick with it regardless of external pressure or fan frustration. From a practical standpoint, Chicago's refusal makes perfect sense. Sign-and-trade scenarios typically benefit the player and his new team, often leaving the original organization with a limited return on their investment. Having already paid the price to acquire Giddey through the Caruso trade, the Bulls understandably want to either retain him on their terms or receive significant compensation for his services. The Bulls' position also reflects their assessment of Giddey's value and potential trajectory within their own system. If they truly view him as a foundational piece of their rebuild, facilitating his departure for anything less than a king's ransom would represent organizational malpractice. Their willingness to endure negative publicity and potential fan backlash in order to retain him suggests a genuine belief in his long-term impact on their franchise and a commitment to their chosen path. Jonathan Kuminga's situation adds fascinating complexity to this entire saga because his decisions could dramatically alter the landscape for both organizations. His reported interest in potentially joining Chicago, either through a trade or as a future free agent, creates multiple pathways for this story to develop. The possibility of Kuminga taking the qualifying offer and betting on himself represents the kind of bold gamble that could pay massive dividends or backfire spectacularly. By playing out next season on a one-year deal, he would gain complete control over his destiny, positioning himself to benefit from Chicago's projected cap space in 2026. This strategy, however, requires enormous confidence in his ability to stay healthy and continue developing his game. One significant injury or a regression in performance could cost him tens of millions of dollars in future earnings. However, if he continues improving and the Bulls indeed have significant cap space available, he could land a massive contract while joining an organization that clearly values his potential and is desperate for a young star. Kuminga's interest in Chicago also suggests he sees an opportunity in their rebuilding situation that might not exist with the championship-contending Warriors. Rather than competing for minutes and touches with established stars, he could become a centerpiece of Chicago's future, receiving the kind of featured role that allows young players to truly showcase their abilities and accelerate their growth. It's a strategic move for a player looking to maximize both his on-court impact and his future earning potential. This standoff between Chicago and Golden State represents broader trends affecting the entire NBA landscape. The reluctance of teams to make significant financial commitments to unproven players has created a market where talented young prospects find themselves undervalued despite obvious potential. The restricted free agency system, originally designed to help teams retain their young talent, has instead created a form of purgatory where players struggle to find their true market value while organizations maintain excessive control over their careers. The psychological toll on players who don't receive external interest can be devastating, creating resentment that persists even after contracts are eventually signed. For organizations, the current market dynamics create both opportunity and risk. Teams with patience and financial flexibility can potentially acquire undervalued assets, while others might miss out on talent by being too conservative with their spending. The balance between fiscal responsibility and competitive aggression has never been more delicate, and every front office is walking a tightrope. The resolution of the Giddey Kuminga situation will likely influence how other similar negotiations unfold throughout the league. If Chicago successfully retains Giddey at below-market rates due to limited external interest, it could embolden other teams to take similarly hardline approaches with their restricted free agents. This could lead to more players taking qualifying offers, more stalemates, and a further reevaluation of the RFA system itself. The ultimate resolution of this saga could significantly impact the championship landscape in both conferences. If Golden State successfully acquires Giddey, they add a dynamic young playmaker who could help extend their competitive window and provide crucial insurance against the inevitable aging of their core players. For Chicago, retaining Giddey while potentially positioning themselves to pursue Kuminga in future free agency could accelerate their rebuild timeline considerably. Having two young players with all-star potential would provide the foundational pieces necessary to build sustainable success rather than hoping for quick fixes through veteran acquisitions. The Western Conference implications are particularly significant given the Warriors' championship pedigree and the intense competition among contending teams. Adding Giddey could provide the kind of depth and versatility that makes the difference in tight playoff series, while losing Kuminga might not significantly impact their short-term championship chances if they receive adequate value in return. For the Bulls, securing two such talents would signal a true turning point, moving them from perpetual rebuilders to genuine contenders in the East. As the standoff continues, both organizations are essentially playing chicken with millions of dollars and potentially years of competitive advantage at stake. The Bulls are betting that their patience will be rewarded with either a reasonable contract extension for Giddey or compensation that reflects his true value. The Warriors are calculating whether their championship window allows them to wait for Kuminga's development or if they need to pivot toward more immediate help. The psychological pressure on both organizations continues mounting as training camp approaches. Neither side wants to blink first, but both understand that prolonged uncertainty could damage relationships and create unnecessary drama that affects team chemistry and performance. For the players themselves, this entire process represents the harsh reality of being assets in a business where loyalty and emotion often take a backseat to strategic calculations and financial considerations. Their careers and futures depend on decisions made by executives who must balance multiple competing interests while trying to build sustainable success. This whole situation makes you wonder, are we watching two organizations playing the game exactly right, maximizing their leverage in a cutthroat league? Or are they both making massive mistakes that could haunt them for years, alienating talent and missing crucial opportunities? And honestly, if you were Giddey or Kuminga right now, would you be frustrated with your team's approach? Or would you be impressed by their conviction? Drop your thoughts below, because this is the kind of NBA drama that could define both franchises for the next decade. And if this deep dive into the NBA's most dangerous game has you on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more exclusive insights.